We're going to talk a little bit about what it exactly means to live the life that he's about to live in the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, because Brian Enten got a tour and he's taking us through it. Not only that, he talked to a bail bondsman there in Idaho who knows the ins and the outs of cage living. And I don't mean living in a cage, because you're behind bars. I mean your free time when you get out from behind bars is in a cage, like an animal. Because Brian Kohberger, you are an animal. And now the state of Idaho is going to treat you as such. We have a whole lot of insider scoop on exactly the lifestyle Brian Kohberger is about to start living after sentencing tomorrow. And then also some details about the night he was arrested. 2.5 years ago, there's some new stuff breaking. He wasn't the only one who was put into zip ties. His elderly parents were too. So congratulations, Brian Kohberger. Yeah, you can stare at the walls for the next 60 or so years, knowing that's also what you did to your parents and your family. Tell you a little bit about that. And also maybe we could be getting closer to solving the puzzle of where's the murder weapon? Where are all the bloody clothes? Maybe, just maybe, he'll stand up tomorrow and say something during sentencing, but even if he doesn't, it is entirely possible that cell phone data may have zeroed in on where he could have gotten rid of all of those things. Because right now, we don't have a murder weapon, and who knows where he got rid of his detritus of murder.
So we always thought that, as we said, we covered this case from when it occurred, November 13th, 2022. And we think that the police, the district attorney's office in Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, even though the case was tried in Boise, we think for political reasons, they're hiding a lot of shit. I think that 100%. And they're not telling us everything because one of the things that the political nature of this was that these murders, these 4 children murdered, of course, destroyed the enrollment at the University of Idaho. Would you send your kids to a school that had these 4 kids that were 19, 20, 21 years old, murdered in an off-campus house? And that's one of the reasons the school wanted to knock the house down. The house that was as an evidentiary piece of evidence for the jury, potentially if it went to trial, what would have been invaluable. But the school had the house donated by the owner, obviously a tax write-off because he knew he could never rent that house again or sell that house. And the school knocked it down faster than you could say Idaho. And we found that to be curious. We found that to be highly political. We also found it to be highly political that District Attorney Bill Thompson just said some really curious things. For example, he wasn't stalking these girls. But meanwhile, he had reconned the house 23 times. That's called stalking, Bill Thompson. He said that the motive, we don't know if he targeted one of the girls, but we think now he may have targeted 2 of the girls on the 3rd floor, but he wouldn't say her name. Everyone knew it was Madison Mogan. He refused to say her name. Again, I don't know what political reasons, even the cops were not saying anything that would maybe put them on the hot plate because they would maybe be chastised for speaking their mind. But I found this all very curious, and I know that they're hiding things. And when Ashley Banfield says, maybe they could find the murder, don't you think they already did that? Don't you think they dissected his cell phone and the cell phone hits, the cell site hits and his car, computer, all of those things in the search for them? Of course they did that. So how are they going to do that now? But we were very, very pissed off that when he had the chance to allocute, the state and the judge asked him no questions. Mike, you can speak upon this.
Yeah, when it came down to after the final motion that was denied by Judge Hippler, and Ann Taylor could not introduce the theory that there was 4 other possible suspects. After that, she supposedly went to Bill Thompson and asked for a meeting to discuss a plea bargain. And he went to the meeting and he said to people that it was done on his grounds. Like he made up the rules because he was in the position of power because she came to him. However, he said that he did not require that Brian Kohlberger first tell them where the bloody clothes are, where the knife is, and what his actual motive was. Because according to Bill Thompson, how could you possibly know that he was telling the truth? Regardless of the fact that they could have him under escort, show them where he dropped everything that night. And if they find everything, and if he says, and everything checks out, and they do recover that material, they then would accept a guilty plea. The prosecution placed no conditions whatsoever on his guilty plea, which made me think all he wanted was to get the case done. He was set to retire about 2 years ago or a year ago. He ran for re-election because he wanted to finish out the case. And now the case is done. And I think really it's very much a political thing. Bury it at this point. Get rid of it. Don't let this go another 3 or 4 months. And then maybe future appeals like every year for the next 20 years. So we kind of think that it was one of those things behind the scenes. We believe that there was politicians in high places whispering in his ear, tell him, just get this plea, get this over with.
You know something, early on, Jay, very early on, right after these murders occurred, the mayor of Moscow was the talking head for the town till he was so in over his head, had no clue how to do messaging in a high level case like this. So eventually someone said, hey, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Get the hell out. And he faded into the background.
Yeah, you never heard of him.
You could say Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes politics in this case that I don't like. And specifically what Mike was talking about. And Bill Thompson was the number one politician. And I also believe, and I don't know for a fact, but I believe this, he's anti-death penalty. And that was one of the reasons I think he made it easy for Ann Taylor, the defense attorney for inmate number 163214, to take this plea with no conditions attached to it. And that's what really pissed me off, because they maybe could have found the murder weapon. Oh, if he lied to you about it, then you're not going to find it. But if he told you the right place, or guess what? Put cuffs on him, take him to where he buried it or threw it. And then you find it. This is the murder weapon. Would that have been so hard? We do that in New York City all the time. All right, buddy. You want to come clean? We're going to put cuffs on you. We're going to take you out. You show us where you put the body. Show us where you put the gun. You show it. And we do it all the time. They didn't even try to, because he's going to lie. What, were you born yesterday? He's going to lie. There's things called interview and interrogation. There's ways of vetting information. He's going to lie.